I know R2. All right, let's get the recording started. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Captain Shaq, and welcome back to Space Engineers. Welcome back to Star Wars Space Engineers. How cool is this? We're playing the brand new mod that just dropped from one of the Armco members in enenra, and it is absolutely amazing. I'm about to land at the repair shop here on Tatooine, and we're gonna walk through all the bits and pieces and how this mod works. But welcome. Look at this. How cool is that? All right, let me bring it around and actually land it. So if you're wondering what this mod is, it is a item pack or an object pack for building X-Wings, right? And it has a lot of functional blocks to make your gameplay a little bit more interesting. So let's go ahead and bring it on in. Now, you've probably seen some of enenra's mods already that have been coming out, the beginnings of what is this new mod collection called A Galaxy Far Away, the GFA collection. Go ahead and zoom out a little bit so we can see what we're doing. Bringing it in. If I hit 6, the gear drops. Let me do that again. The gear drops. Yeah. All right, and we'll set it down right here. All right, inertial dampeners are offline. Shut it down. Sweet. Okay. Look at that. It's so good. I'll put a link to this planet, which is the planet of Tatooine, which has builds on it, including like Jabba's palace and this little repair shop that we're using. But there it is. So what you can see here is the T-65B X-Wing brought to you by enenra. To my right is another version of it. It's literally the same thing. It's just has the different paint job. You can see what's actually colorable on the blocks themselves, the red versus the blue. Custom nose cone. Not all the blocks on here, by the way, are custom modded. A lot of them are actually vanilla built into the back there. There's a lot of like inside the ship. And if I go, turn my jetpack on. If I go up here, you can see, yeah, there's normal blocks on the top rowing it. Hello, R2. It's also using the animation mod. So when I walk up to it, it automatically opens the door for us. And we're gonna talk about what all these mods do, like R2 back here. R2 is a welder. How cool. So he's a welder facing forward. So if you have some repair parts on hand, and you're not gonna have a lot because of inventory space, depending on what your server settings are, but he's a welder, he can repair your cockpit. And if you've done any combat in Space Engineers in small fighters, you know that the thing that always knocks you out is a cockpit kill. You end up getting ejected out of your ride. Yep, that's totally a thing. So let's talk about what kind of blocks we've got. First, check this out. This right here is the reloads for the proton torpedo launchers, which you can see if I turn my light on right here. There's a port and starboard side one on both sides. To fire and lock on. This does use weapon core as a base, so it does have its tracking functionality. Yes, the KX-10s, the turbo lasers here do work. Turbo lasers, the laser cannons do work. But let's look at some of the other custom blocks away from a full build. So this is what we're used to seeing. That is a X-Wing from circa like 2016 in Space Engineers. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to use a little repair pit down here. But if we walk over to this side, we'll see that there's nothing here, and that's because I forgot to save. Haha! Nobody saw that? It was a perfect edit. Yep, those were always here. I left server cleanup, and it cleaned up all of my blocks. Anywho, here are the custom blocks from enenra, and they're really, really cool. Let's start from the left and work our way over to the right. On the left-hand side, we have what doesn't exist in the vanilla game, but I always run some version of it, a small grid jump drive, and that's exactly what this is. What is he calling it? He's calling it the hyperdrive, right? Yeah, the X-Wing GBK585 hyperdrive unit, and it does have a interactable console right there, but it works like a hyperdrive. It even shows its rate of charge. He's done a great job on the modeling here, and I love that it's got one flat side. Of course, this is all going to be small grid, mind you, but there you go, small jump drive. And I believe he's balanced it so it doesn't have the same range that the large grid one does, so carriers will still kind of be there for functioning. Let's walk around a little bit more. There is our R2 unit stuck in the bin here. Now this is gonna be, maybe not changed, but he's gonna do some additions to it. He's talking about having it do other things than just be a welder, or have other variations, which I'm looking forward to. There's a few variations that are gonna be coming out, like non-opening X-Wing wings, so we can get stuff like Z95s, because these actually animate. And we'll take it up and we'll fly it around a little bit later. I can show you all the functionality there. But over here, we've got nose cones. They are, and you can even kind of see it there, these nose cones are cameras. Yeah, they're cameras, so you can have gun sights, making it easier to aim and to zoom in when trying to see something far away. Over here, we've got fully animated landing gear, and they are actually slightly smaller than the vanilla ones. We see this is a 3x1. There's a 1 block. It's a 3x1, and this is the slanted one. This is a 2x1. So they're slightly smaller. If I pull out one of these, let's see. Gear, landing gear. These are all 3x3x1. Come on. There we go. Boop. Look at the difference. I love it. I love the options. And I love that they actually unfold too, which you'll see when I start flying around with the X-Wing. Coming onto the back, those are the torpedo launchers that we talked about before. This does take weapon core and the wonderful reload system. And he's already talking about making a version of this that you can build into your grid and use it as storage for ammunition for decoration effects, which I think is going to be very cool. And then, of course, the cockpit. And look how tiny it is. With the animation mod framework in place so that it does open and close as you get closer to it. Now, if I jump in here and we look around a little bit, you can see all the LCDs. Look at the LCDs. They're a little bit hard to see. I wish we had, I know we don't right now, but I wish we had a mod that lets you zoom in almost Star Citizen-like so you can see the whatever you have, projected onto your LCDs. But look at the detail in here. It's super low form factor, so you're gonna be able to build all kinds of stuff out of here. I could see building like an R41 with this, or maybe obviously go for a Z95. Quite a few fighters, and I love how small it is for a fighter cockpit. As he's been designing this X-Wing mod pack, he's actually been putting up posts over on the Armco Discord. And a lot of the inspiration for this came from the Battlefront cockpits, which I think is very, very cool. All right, let's jump out of there. So there is our X-Wing cockpit, our 2 landing gear. Over here, we've got our thruster, our engine exhaust thruster. Now, these work like your standard, I believe, they're just your standard, like, normal ion thruster. That being said, though they work in space and in atmosphere, that being said, there's another mod that is included with this that you can get separately, which is going to be your repulsors. And these are quite cool. The Repulsorlift Engine is an anti-gravity technology created from subnuclear knots in space-time. What this does is it allows you to hover without giving your craft like a broken level of thrust in all directions. So you don't really get the acceleration, but you do get the ability, kind of like the old RCS thruster mod, but look how good this looks. And this is a separate mod. I think this is definitely necessary if you want to do a lot of Star Wars builds. This is the problem something like Perfect Blinky he runs into when he's doing his really high detailed fighter builds, is that you just don't have the space to hide enough ions, and you don't have the space to have enough fuel for hydrogens, which would give you the amount of thrust you need, but it wouldn't give you, enough storage for the actual, like, you wouldn't be able to run it more than like 5 minutes, which is a major problem for themed builds. And these kind of fix that. But the biggest deal is, I just love the model. I think it looks so good. And he's got everything so it looks good when you change the color. Whoops. Go ahead and paint that. Look at that. Isn't that great? I imagine, if he hasn't already, he may actually have already done it. I just didn't notice the update. Let's see. Did he make a... Yes, he did. He made a large grid version of the repulsor engine. Very nice. So Repulsorlift engines have great power and can only accelerate up to a speed of 25 meters a second. That's why you're gonna need some kind of main primary thruster. It doesn't replace that, but it does replace the need for the directional thrust. If you're just looking for like that hovering coming into land kind of deal. Which is pretty neat. That is pretty freaking cool. All right, what else do we have? Well, he's added a few more things in here, like the cargo compartment, which actually does something very cool, and I will show you right now. It's better to show you on this. The cargo compartment, while it does give you some storage, I'll go ahead and drop this, a little fighter storage. It gives you, 3,000, nothing too crazy. It's not very large. It's that undercowling for the X-Wing. But what it does do is if I go over to it, it opens and it's a collector. You have a little hatch, very elite dangerous. Look at the animation there. Very elite dangerous. You have a little hatch when you look at it, or when you open it from inside the cockpit, that will open up that you can collect stuff with when you're flying around in space. So if you see some ammunition that dropped out of a dead turret, or some uranium that you want to pick up, or maybe with the future mods for the galaxy far away, we start seeing, I don't know, objectives that spawn objects that we need to pick up to finish a mission. Yes, I think it's just very, very cool. But all right, let's fly around and show what the rest of this can do. Oh, there's one other block that's actually really important that I wanted to show off. And that block is the laser cannon. Drop it there. The laser cannon, what do you call this thing? FCU, fire control unit. That's it, fire control unit. What does this do? Well, the way that he's managed to get the X-Wing, the X-Wing to open and fire from the right location is that he's had to create because these are technically doors, funny enough. Like, it uses the same system the doors use to open and close. And they are physically here, at least as a space engineer. The way they got them to work is that block is buried back here inside the X-Wing's fuselage. You can actually see it right there, the little half circle. And that is the true weapon system. Now, in a future version or update, or maybe a standalone mod, he's going to release the KX-10s as normal firing forward cannons all by themselves. They're going to probably just look like this right here. So you can make cool turrets out of them or build your own fighters with them that have centerline shots. But for this, to get all four of them functioning properly and through weapon core, he's made a fire control unit in the middle, which is actually where the weapon comes from, where the ammunition, or everything fires from. So there you go. All right, let's jump in. Let's take this thing for a spin. I do have an Imperial target not too far away as a training target that we're going to be able to take out. So let's get to it. Inertial dampener's online. Oops. Power online. I'll turn on my UI so you guys can see. Now that all our stuff is on, I'm slowly taking off. On the control panel, 4 is to open and close our X foils. And 6 is to actually bring up the gear. So let me animate that a few more times. Look at those gear. And of course, the skids in the back. I love how he's animated them. I know the skids in the back took him like an extra week to get them just the way he wanted them. He was messing around with it for a while, but look at that. Ah, they're so low profile. For fighters, that's fantastic. You don't have to have those chunky ones. I am going to use those for other things. I could even see doing like a small ship gone large and then maybe double or tripling up on them. What I'm most excited about in enenra's mod pack is that he's got future plans. Right. Oh, he even has a fuel. He even put a fuel connector in there. Now that's an interesting question. What is is it a reactor? Is he running batteries or a reactor on this? I think he's running batteries. He is running batteries. Okay, so he's got, well, it says battery. Oh, that's right. I forgot he did that. So let me land back around before we go taking this thing off. There's another block I actually forgot about, and that is the battery barrels on the back. So this is a fusel thrust engine. But what it actually is a battery supply. Yeah. All right, let's go over to the T-65 X-Wing, and I will grab up the fuselage here. Yep, you come with me. And I want you to come up with me as well, the intake. All right. So we were talking about this when he came up with the idea, and I was like, hey, if you make these look not just for X-Wings, but more of like a generic technical component, we can use these for all kinds of stuff. And that's exactly what he did. Let me paint it. You can see where the painting stripe is. So they're just like AA or what would you call these? D batteries? Look at that. And they're straight up just batteries. If I grab a control panel here. Control panel. Here we go. You can see exactly how much power this has. This holds 4 megawatts of power. Nice, not too shabby, which compared to a normal battery of the, let's go with the, here we go, battery here, around the same size. And I'll slap a control panel on that as well. I got rid of it. Control panel, there it is. I believe you're 4 megawatts. Yep, 4 megawatts as well. So yeah. So now you just got another shape, right? If you don't want to go with the boxy square one, that's a 2 by what is that, 3? Yeah, that's a thing you can do. Oh, look at that. I like it. I like it because they stack too. They stack like wonderfully. And if you're like me and like to do small ships gone large, you can stack a bunch of batteries in like a reactor room or something. And they do have multiple mount points. I don't think they have side mounts. Oh, they do have side mounts. Oh, look at that. Sort of. They do have side mounts. Yeah, nope, there it is. There it is. Just gotta put it in the right spot. Very cool. Now this one, I think this is just a prop, but I could be wrong. Let's see. This is the intake. No, I think these are reversed thrust, aren't they? Let's drop one down. I actually could be wrong here. I didn't test this one. You are considered... Yeah, you're considered a thruster. That's great. So that's what you're looking at right here with these guys. I think there's an LOD issue there. I just saw it like flash. Maybe? Maybe not. Maybe I'm seeing things. But yeah, pretty freaking cool. And then we've got a small connector here probably for charging, I would imagine, actually, where you bring a hose up and connect to it. A wibbly wobbly arm hose. All right, let's go ahead and get inside. Let's take this thing for a flight. Systems are online. Inertial dampeners are on. Let's take off. Engage engines. Bring up the landing gear. Oh, listen to that. With our astromech yelling at us. One thing me and enenra were chatting about, which would be really fun, is the AI enabled mod. If you've never seen that one, it literally gives you little AI companions that can follow you around. They can weld stuff for you and maintain your base for you. And they are pretty much the exact same size as that astromech behind us. And one of the cool things that they do is if you get into a seat of a vehicle, if they are set to follow you, they will also get into chairs in your vehicle to come with you. So if he made a mod that is a skin for the robots that you get in that mod and made that block behind us where the R2 unit is a seat, then you could have an astromech follow you around and jump into the seat. And he'd be able to repair things for it. He would be an astromech. He would do all the things. I absolutely love that. All right, so what other features do we have here? Well, obviously the LCDs work. You can change them just like any other cockpit. He's done a great job at that. You can also, I also like that you got the colors down straight out of like Battlefront. What else do we have? Well, we've got he's built an antenna into it. Our jump drive is on our keys. We've got our torpedoes, which are tracking, by the way. Just fired those off, which I'll save the rest for our next combat check. And we've got, push the button. Which one was it? Was it 4? There it is. Yes. Oh, it's so good. Before we engage that Imperial base over there, so you can see the explosion effects, the little impact effects. Now, sadly, I don't know if they've come up with a way. I know he's been thinking about it, but I don't think he's been able to figure out a way to do it yet. Getting some kind of speed boost when you close your S-foils, which always is like represented rerouting power from weapons to engines and making your profile smaller, which it's a very video gamey thing, but it's been a thing for a long time for Star Wars. And it has the deflector shield mod. It is one of the requirements if you want shields. Speaking of shields, let's bring the shields online. Deflector shields up, which don't look like they have the right settings because what in the world? 1, that is a huge circle, and 2, go ahead and set down real quick and we'll change those before we get into combat. And 2, it's huge. It's also, you can see it, and the bigger that the shield is, the less health it has with this mod, so we should probably make some adjustments before we get into combat. Landing gear down. And set down. There it is. He actually changed the deflector shield. Oh, that's cool. A while back when we were doing the tournaments, the shield mod got an update that gave you directional shields. So you can do the shields double front and actually route them around. That is a function now. That's kind of cool though. Interesting. I'll have to get back into the shield mod and see what other updates they've done. All right, so let's change the shields. I don't know why he hasn't already set this up, or maybe it got reset. That may be a thing. Our shield fit. Really? Are you not? Shields down. Shields up. What I don't want is that. So let's do visible only when we get hit. And low reflectivity is fine. And then there's shield shunting. Push left, push right. That's what I was talking about. You can't put those on buttons so that you can do them quickly. Very, very cool. We're only at 3% shield. So this is going to be danger mode because we did turn the shield off and on. Right, let's do it. It's combat mode time. But if you want to check this one out for yourself, I'll put a link in the description below. There's our Imperial installation. Let's go. We're in combat range. Enemy weapon systems opened up. Okay, this is fine. Remember, 3% shields. I cannot take a hit. This is when I wish closing the S-foils would give us like a boost. All right, we actually need to go in for a run now. Now we know where the targets are. And, whoa, whoa, torpedoes away. Did not have a lock. Did not have a lock. Oh, we got hit. All right, I'm coming back in. I'm coming back in. Try that again. I believe this time. Torpedoes away. I missed. I missed again. Shields are holding, but not for long. Ooh. Dodge, 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 dodge. All right, let's go. God, it's so good. Took one round. It's starting to change colors. That means that the shield's gonna fail soon, I think. Is that Jabba's? I think that's Jabba's. Such a cool mod. We're probably gonna do some multiplayer matches. Another big update that he's talking about doing, the next like big project, is going to be introducing TIE fighters. TIE fighters with his own brand, with this level of detail, and then balanced against these, so that we can have dogfights for like events and stuff, which is gonna be pretty fun. Oh! Oh, that hurt. Oh, we're hit. Oh, gyro's down. The gyro's down. I'm punching out. Which is going to be great because if we can get TIE fighters, I'd love to see a AI spawn for the AI spawn mod. Ah, that would be so, from Lucas, that would be amazing. Kind of like the Reavers, if you've ever played against with those. Yes. But all right, everyone, if you are interested in trying out this mod, link is in the description below. Highly recommend it. Just remember, you're gonna want to add in the Repulsor Engines mod that goes with it and the defense shields. Make sure you add those in because while the blocks do work without those, if you go to spawn in the blueprint, it's gonna tell you you're missing blocks because the blueprint comes with defense shields already built into this BP and the Repulsor Engines, of course. So you don't have to have those if you don't plan on actually using his blueprint. If you want to make your own version of the X-Wing, then you don't need it. Don't worry about it. Just go ham with these parts. You can make it happen. You can make it work. I'd love to know where your thoughts are, though. Like, what would you like to see? What would bring you back into Space Engineers to do kind of like a Star Wars-y survival campaign? What mod would require that to be fun for you? For me, it's probably going to be content-based. It's going to be something to do with like the spawner, something to actually do to engineer against. Yeah, I think that would probably be it. Something very similar to like Captain Arthur's Ares at War, Captain Arthur's Ares at War, but something to do with like a Star Wars vibe to it. So you're going after Imperial installations and whatnot. And we actually have a library of Imperial installations already made from years ago when I did that Imperial build off. And people came up with some really cool stuff. And we could just have those spawning things that we could take out. I think that would be a lot of fun for a survival mode. Trying to survive as rebels surrounded by the Empire. Who knows? Who knows? But this is a mod to keep an eye on. I will see you all in the next one. Later, everybody.